There's a reason this is such a big deal.
Hello, my fellow hunters, and welcome as today we talk the return of the king, or more accurately, the lord of the seas, Lagiacrus himself, finally getting to debut in modern Monster Hunter, and I think it's fair to say that me, and I don't know, everyone else has kinda been desperately craving this for, I don't know, since World came out. But a few of you may have started with Wilds, or still started with World, but never really looked back, or, bothered about the older gens, and that's completely fine, and you might have a moment of, who the hell is this crocodile-looking blue thing, and why is everyone so excited? And yes, even on my friend group's Discord, we make sure to all keep Cotton in the dark for your pro and noob pleasure, but I cannot wait for him to find this out, oh my god. In any case, whether you are excited at his return or want to know why to be excited at his return, I think it's worth having a little chat about a legendary monster getting his debut finally, and indeed his glow-up finally, in the 6th gen. And honestly, even though he skipped World, Iceborne, Rise, and Sunbreak, it's ultimately going to be better for it, because every monster in Wilds that's returning is by far and away the best version of it that's ever been. I mean, look at Mizutsune getting clear Soul Seer and even potentially Violet Mizutsune moves, and it's just really exciting what they're doing with it, and the tempered version, and in any case, back to Mr. Lightning Crocodile. First and foremost then, he was the flagship of Monster Hunter Tri, which was the infamous Monster Hunter that brought with it underwater hunting. Now, time has, I think, been kind to it, because I think me and a lot of you guys will look back on it with, I remember it being a little bit hit and miss, a little bit frustrating under the sea, but I don't know, I'd give it another go. I bet they'd nail it if they did it now, and I kinda think they would. But underwater combat is divisive for a reason, but one cannot deny the awe of seeing Lagiacrus coil and swim around you, charging the waters with his thunder while you desperately flail. He really was, well, the Lord of the Seas, and he garnered quite the reputation, and rightly so. He was an incredible fight, not just underwater, he could come onto land too, and regularly did, and he brought with him some incredible equipment, very nightly, which is really, really good too, and all in all, he's just a phenomenal flagship. All the flagships tend to be, but I think Lagiacrus being gone for so long, notably the only flagship that has not been in 5th gen onwards. Like, that is quite ridiculous when you think about it like that, right? Well, I guess also Kameth. Why won't they bring you back, old girl? Why won't they? And to be fair, Gameth might become the next Lagiacrus in terms of please, after this, but in any case, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say, and I think it's no coincidence that her time away, coupled with just how genuinely awesome of a monster and a fight he is, he won 3rd place in the big 20th anniversary popularity poll, which is no small feat. And you'll notice that he doesn't have small feet. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, it's particularly hype to see this happen, not just because he's a loved good flagship monster, but because there was a part of, I think, everyone that thought it might never happen. The reason being is they just couldn't get Lagiacrus to work. See, he is designed to be underwater a lot of the time, at least initially, and while he got a subspecies in the form of Ivory Lagiacrus, which was an exclusively just land version of him, it never quite hit the same. It did just feel like a neutered down one. And indeed, we could face him in GU, where again he was landlocked despite being his original version, so there certainly is precedent of having just normal Lagiacrus Lagiacrus without any kind of water shenanigans, it's still just not quite the same. He is a victim of being the head of the Leviathans, of being the mascot for that entire category of monster being introduced, so many of which originally were created to seamlessly work underwater, that as soon as you lose that quirk, it's hard to make him feel properly unique and vibrant in a way that initially designed for land monsters do. His moveset suffered. It wasn't terribly complex, even with his lightning to draw from, which is why that getting solved, presumably in Wilds, is such a cool thing to think about, because there is no doubt he is going to be a magnificent hunt. But as I say, they wanted him to be in Monster Hunter World. We got some early test footage revealed way back now, and we could see, well, Lagiacrus emerging out of a more watery, swampy area of the ancient forest to take down an Anjanath, and here he was massive. We got a couple little electric crackles, and he looked absolutely gorgeous already, but it just never quite came to fruition. The Leviathan skeleton would clip, and it was a little bit too wobbly, they said, and of course since then we've had other Leviathans happening, and it's a reason why when we saw Balahara doing the things Balahara does, or even Jin Dahaad and so on, we were like, okay, it feels like maybe they've got a handle on how to Leviathan properly now, especially with, you know, your Mizutsune in Rise and Sunbreak. There's been quite a few examples of where it's just really been fantastic. So clearly it's possible, right? And yeah, clearly it is possible. But it has felt like years of teasing, which is what makes this, again, such a momentous occasion. And when it comes to his moveset and how he'll actually be, well, as I said, there's base Lagiacrus, there is the Ivory, but there's also Abyssal Lagiacrus. And Abyssal, as the name might imply, is a deep-sea Lagiacrus, a rare species and honestly maybe arguably the coolest one. Definitely the colour scheme is up there. But of course, this was an entirely underwater fight, and he had some wicked ways of using his lightning. And that's the thing I think they might draw from. Now that we're seeing something like Mizutsune get moves from essentially every version of Mizutsune, and honestly that's happened with all of the returning monsters to some degree, they pull in extra moves from other versions of themselves and it gets baked into, well, their base to make them a more vibrant and fun fight for, well, everyone. Returning hunters being like, oh, that's the thing, okay, that's a little bit of a change up, and everyone that's hunting them for the first time, it's just more interesting. So the idea of Lagiacrus getting some Ivory, some Abyssal moves, I think is not only awesome, but definitely likely. And the thing is, he doesn't have to be without water strictly, because the Scarlet Forest, right? It's literally covered in the stuff. That's Duna's whole shtick. Tidal waves of it. It's up to the waist of the hunter. Yes, it's not the same as swimming around, but Lagiacrus can comfortably transfer zones in the same way that Duna can, swimming in the deeper parts up the channels, probably go up the waterfall as well, but it means we can actually fight him waist deep in water, which will let him do some watery stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if he's also splashing around and causing some perhaps smaller but still wavy type things. Or of course just electrocuting the water zones, so if you're stood in the water near him, you just get instantly shocked. That's, I feel like, a thing that's gonna happen, and it's a really perfect environment for him. Hell, the test footage in Worlds, the environment they had him in, was very Scarlet Foresty in its makeup. So I think he really is finding a perfect home map to actually be reborn as his new landlocked but better than ever Wilds version. A definitive land-working Lagiacrus that is a fight with complexities, challenge, and surprises. And when it is such a loved legendary flagship on top, there's a reason that suddenly the title update 1 showcase kinda went from, oh, that's fun, yeah, Mizutsune, Shia, oh, the new gathering hub looks great, oh yeah, no, this'll be great, Lagiacrus, Oh my god! Oh, why is it not the summer right now? Holy hell! W's all round, you know, he kind of stole the spotlight, I think, for a lot of people, and that's understandable. And hell, even in the little teaser we got, having him stamp on a Delphidon, the background is on fire. A few people have pointed out and gone, is this the oilwell basin or something? No, it's clearly still the Scarlet Forest. You can see the trees and the water, but I think the fire is most likely from a Rathalos. You see, when he was first introduced, the cinematic that you could see is, well, a Rathalos landing to steal an Aptonoth from some Jaggy, but then a Lagiacrus from the sea to threaten and contest with him and make him leave with the Aptonoth. I would not be surprised at all if our Lagiacrus introductory cutscene in Wilds is him fighting off a Rathalos and then triumphantly stealing his prey with the residual flames from the encounter burning and sputtering out behind him. It's a good way to kind of establish the pecking order, because Lagiacrus is to the sea what Rathalos is to the air. He really is a definitive the monster of the sea, and that's really, really cool, and I think that is a kind of special place he holds. Because before Lagiacrus and Tri, the whole ocean and underwater just wasn't an explored plane of Monster Hunter, so as soon as that added, you needed a monster to stand for that, and that was Lagiacrus. Just as Rathalos stands for wyverns and flying wyverns and Monster Hunter as a whole, Lagiacrus carries that mantle but for everything under the waves, and that's really, really cool. So it's very, very awesome to have him back above them and be inbound in Wilds. When it comes to armor, skills, or anything unique he might have, that remains to be seen. Title update monsters always tend to have a kind of gimmick with their sets, but Lagiacrus hasn't really had any very much associated with him, at least in his base form, so they have room to get creative here. In any case, though, this is a wonderful addition, and while I always prefer new monsters in title updates, like your Kulftaroth, like your Safujiva, I think there really isn't a better choice when it comes to a crowd pleaser that's also just, you know, a really fucking good monster we're all going to enjoy. So that's your Lagiacrus, your Thunder Leviathan, the first Leviathan, and finally joining the flagships in 5th gen onwards, apart from, again, Gammoth. For now then, let me know what you think. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.